Caffeinated conversations with Brooke Allen.
Fun fact, I once had a caffeine IV. True story. Seriously, I think that's what started this whole thing.
I once got called to the floor for a stat for coffee.
Awesome. Good morning. This is Caffeinated Conversations with Brooke Allen. I'm Brooke Allen. We had a little bit of a glitch. Streaming has given us a bit of a problem these last few weeks, but I think we are good to go. And let me tell you, I am so excited. This is our 52nd episode. And wow. Thank you so much. It has been a journey, and all of you that follow me are fully aware of that. We started out in coffee shops out in Farmington, Blue Hat Coffee Gallery, Philip, very near and dear to my heart. And we made the transition to My Michigan TV, which their studios are in Troy. And now we are at the beautiful Birmingham Palladium, 4th floor, live, not from my mom's basement. We are here. There's a live studio audience. And we are just so grateful. There are so many people to thank. It would take me like 2 days to thank all of you. So we do have a couple of parties planned. I will give you a heads up on that. So all of you will be invited, and I hope to see you there. And, a lot of people ask me, how did I come up with Caffeinated Conversations? Well, it was midnight. I was binging, actually, Law & Order, SVU is my favorite show. And in between commercials, I'd say, I love coffee. Show would come back on. Then I'd say, I love talking to people. Okay. And then that's kind of how it was formulated. So that is how it started. And this is how it's going. Again, our 52nd episode. Thank you all for being with us. From the bottom of my heart, I couldn't be more grateful. I actually feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And the networking that goes on during the show, the connections, the collaborations. I happen to know that I'm sitting with 2 Canasta partners. I'll tell you that right now. So it's just been an amazing thing. So if you do ever want to come in, the show is live. Guests are welcome. And you can get your tickets online. So thank you again for being with us today. So we have a lot to talk about. We will be talking about a day off for caregivers, because we know that is something that is needed desperately. Also, a lot going on with our health. And you may think we are going to talk about COVID and the flu, but honestly, walking pneumonia, that is a real thing going on. My daughter has been struggling with that for a couple of weeks, a couple of ER trips, not fun. But that is something that is very real. So we'll be talking about that. Also, if you are looking for a job, are you using AI, and will it help or hinder you? We'll have that answer coming up. And of course, our new Caffeinated Act of Kindness is coming up. And that is with JoJo Dries on the Wings of Angels, a dear friend of mine, and I'm so proud of her. So she will be our Caffeinated Act of Kindness that we feature all month long. So, okay, we are getting started. It is our Halfway to 100 segment, and I am with Debbie Abanuni. And Debbie, you are with the Dorothy and Peter Brown, right?
Dorothy and Peter Brown Jewish Community Adult Day Program.
Okay, and this is something that you guys do for caregivers, for those taking care of those with dementia, because it's so important to kind of give them a respite.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the program is a partnership between Gesher Human Services and Jewish Senior Life. And we have been very lucky that we receive funding from the Dee Dee and Michael Perlman Caregiver Fund. And their focus is specifically on caregivers and what they may need. So twice a year, we have this event, Day Off for Caregivers, where our staff come in on a Sunday. So people who are living with dementia have a full day of activities. They can be dropped off at the West Bloomfield Brown Center at 10 a.m. And we have music vendors, exercise vendors, lunch prepared for them. So they have a great typical day at the Brown program. And then after their loved ones drop them off, they as caregivers come to Soul Cafe, which is less than a mile away.
Oh yeah, I love that place.
Right?
Yes.
It's wonderful. And there they have, number one, camaraderie with other people who are going through similar circumstances as them. We have a day of massage, music therapy. We have yoga. We have our social workers doing an educational piece on giving yourself grace. And so they have a day to take care of themselves, because the burden of caring for someone else is so great that it often has a health effect. And we try to remind people that they're not alone and the value of taking care of themselves.
And, I think too, the whole idea of self-care, from a mental aspect or from a physical aspect, you feel kind of selfish saying that sometimes. And I know a lot of people think, oh no, I got to keep going. But you have to take that break. whether it be on the mental, the mental side, the yoga, the music, or the physical side, right?
Right. It all matters.
It all matters, right? And of course, this is Dr. Sandra Lerner. We'll talk to you in just a second. But, with everything that happens that day, I think the most important thing you mentioned is the camaraderie and that they get to connect with other caregivers and maybe not maybe compare stories. I don't know, but it's knowing that you're not alone.
100%. We talk about people feeling isolated as they age, isolated when they're ill. People who are caring for another person oftentimes are so isolated because their entire focus is on what somebody else needs. They forget to take care of their own medical health. They forget to take care of their own emotional health. And so I've had times where people have come to our day off event and seen someone that they know and said, "Oh, I didn't know you had this going on," because people aren't talking about it. Right.
But there's no
So
shame.
there should be no
There
shame.
should be no shame.
There
right?
should be no shame. I've often found that different diagnoses people feel comfortable talking about and asking for support, and others they don't. So we're working diligently to try and get rid of the stigma of dementia. It is another diagnosis, and there is no shame in it. Support is available if you know who to ask. And if you don't share what support you've had, then others won't know where they can go as well.
And, it's interesting because dementia does have a stigma to it. And I don't know why, because it's so, the numbers are high with people who are suffering with dementia.
And it's getting higher.
And it's getting
people
higher.
are living longer,
Right.
and therefore people are experiencing, and Dr. Lerner can talk more about this, experiencing diseases at a greater level than they were before because of the longevity. So we're really working to help people support one another, to not be embarrassed about a diagnosis they had no control over, and to meet friends. We had one day off event where the next week when I saw some of our attendees, they had made shirts.
Oh, how cool.
And they met up for lunch. So we're building
That's
a
cool.
social network and community for people to get the support that they need.
Okay, so speaking of friends, these two are friends. They do play canasta together. I know that. I hope that's okay. I said that.
Oh, yeah.
So the whole idea, Dr. Lerner, as far as the toll that caregiving takes on somebody, can really affect you physically as well.
All of the stresses in your life do, and that's why all of the stresses can impact many disease process, autoimmune, your ability and susceptibility to viruses, bacterial infections, but all of those inflammatory processes are also affected by your stress level, and it really matters.
Okay, so this is happening November 10th?
Sunday, November 10th.
Okay.
Anybody who's interested in attending should call our social worker, Sherilyn Rowe. Her phone number is 248-592-5032. We do ask just a few questions because we want to make sure that whatever the person who's attending the program, their needs are, that our staff can accommodate them.
Okay.
So we'll ask a few questions, and then it's open to the community. And again, there's no fee thanks to the Dee and
On
Michael
either
Perlman
side,
Caregiver
because they're
Fund.
dropping their caregiver off.
Right,
So
the
you know
respite
they're
is
that
free.
they're being taken care of, and then you get to go enjoy the day.
Absolutely.
And I do know the numbers for this. You guys started this when? You started it.
So we started this prior to the pandemic, but since we've been back, we've been doing this for about 3 years.
And the numbers have just
and the
increased,
numbers
right?
have just grown.
That's
In
awesome.
fact, the last event that we did in April, we had to start a registration list for this one in November because our numbers were full. We're not quite full yet this time.
Okay, so people can still register.
People can still register,
Okay.
but it is first come, first serve.
Okay.
And we do have our next date scheduled for April 6th. So if somebody's not able to get in right away, we will put them on the list for our next one.
Okay, and real quick, you guys, help people. That's what you do.
That's what we
That's
do.
what you do.
So the Brown program runs a dementia-specific adult day program 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. So anybody with a cognitive altering diagnosis is likely to be eligible.
Okay.
So our social workers, if you need somebody to come for a day program, or if you need resources as the family care partner, we have gathered all of that information so that we can provide support. And our social workers are more than happy to help you brainstorm, provide referrals and resources, even if you don't think that the Brown program is right for you.
And I think another part is that all beliefs and all faiths are welcome.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Can you give me that phone number one more time?
Yeah. So to register, just call Sherilyn Rowe at 248-592-5032.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's
Oh,
always
my
a pleasure
pleasure.
to
Thank
see
you
you.
so
Thank
much
you.
to have me
I
again.
appreciate it. And I guess you guys will be seeing each other soon, right? But now she's mine.
Yes. Yes, I will share.
Okay. Okay. So, Doctor, you have, I mean, it's been kind of crazy. You just weighed in on the whole idea of how things can really affect you physically and your health.
Right.
And we know COVID, we know flu season, all of that, but walking pneumonia is the thing going on
It
right now
is.
that we need
There
to
are
talk about.
so many things going around, but one of the ones that is really at an epidemic level right now is pneumonia. But we are seeing pertussis, RSV, flu, COVID. It seems like the perfect storm right now. Anything could walk in the door.
And usually does, right?
It does.
And it usually does. Okay, so hi, Karen. How are you? Good. So, what should people do to guard? I mean, to guard themselves, their families. We know vaccinations are important, but I mean, it was funny. My daughter came home sick last Tuesday and said, "Oh, I'm feeling. I don't feel good." And she's like, "I think I have walking pneumonia." And I'm like, "Okay, that's random."
Mhm.
Turns out she did because
wow.
all of her friends the week before at school had walking pneumonia.
Right.
So it's very contagious.
It's very contagious. Almost as contagious as COVID.
Okay.
Which is really, it's going around. And the key thing with that is, if you know you're sick, to avoid going in public and spreading it even further.
Mhm.
But for adults, there's other things that you can do also that can help prevent it.
Okay.
There is a new vaccine that's recommended for all adults above 50. It's the PCV 20 or 21.
Mhm.
21 is the updated one.
Okay.
And the new recommendation this October is for all adults above 50 to be vaccinated. Up till now, it's been recommended for anybody who has any kind of lung disease, autoimmune disease, immunocompromised condition, but also anybody who has a history of asthma or COPD. And now the recommendation is for all adults above 50.
Okay, so that's something
That's
that's
new.
changed. That's new.
Right. Before then, it was all adults above 65. And
that's a
changed.
big difference.
Yeah, it's changed.
Okay, so that's a big difference. And as far as the flu, the flu shot, how is it matching? Do we know that yet, or do we not find that out?
They try to match it the best they can,
Mhm.
and it does match. However, it's not always a perfect match. You still get immunity from it. And the key thing is that, even though it may not be a perfect match,
Mhm.
it still prevents those more serious illnesses, deaths, hospitalizations, which are pretty significant every year. Even in the United States, we see 30 to 80,000 hospitalizations from.
That's a big number.
It's a big number. Yes.
It's a big
from
number.
in people without complicating medical conditions.
Okay.
And so it's even higher if there's serious health concerns before having flu.
Okay, so now let's get to COVID,
Right?
Because we've been through this, and I don't even think of the word anymore, but it's changed what they recommend, right? What the CDC recommends as far as how you deal with this, how many days you stay home.
Right.
So where do we stand with COVID right now?
So we still ask people who have tested positive for COVID to mask, and then also to stay home for the duration of time that test is positive, and then mask for several days afterwards. The key thing with COVID is to really prevent those community infections,
Mhm.
and help protect the people in our community that are highest risk.
And you said it's like the perfect storm right now. Of course, we're getting into the winter season, so we know people will be staying inside more.
Yes,
it's getting colder.
It's getting colder now. If you haven't had your COVID, now's the time to get it. The COVID booster really needs to.
Okay, so what about I know a few people who have had bad reactions to the boosters?
So the most common reaction is just a localized redness on your arm. And it is actually, when you look at the statistics of more severe reactions, it's actually quite a small number of more serious complications from it. And remember, you can't ever compare the vaccine to nothing. You have to compare the vaccine to the disease. And COVID certainly has much higher rates of complications, more serious complications. Than the vaccine itself.
Okay.
And if you do have a complicating medical condition, you might ask your physician if it's right for you.
Okay, so can you get the pneumonia, the COVID, and the flu shot? Can you get it all at once?
So the
Can you give it to me
CDC
now?
says yes, but if you're insecure or unsure about it, you can spread them out by a week. You know, the recommendation is yes, none of them interact with one another, and your immune system is the perfect multitasker. It can do all of it at the same time.
Okay, and okay, a couple questions. What is a fever?
What is a fever?
I mean, the temperature, because I hear people, you know, at the ER the other day,
So-
people were like, they brought the kid in, said it was a fever. It was 99.
Yeah. So we can say it's an elevated temp, but
Okay.
generally we think of a fever as somewhere 100.4 and
Okay.
higher.
Okay, so 100.4.
Yes.
Okay. When should you stay home if you're not diagnosed with anything?
So you should stay home if you don't feel well.
Okay.
Right. If you don't feel well, if you feel like you're coming down with something, if you have a positive test for anything, if you have cold symptoms that are really running you down, body aches, fever, any of that, you definitely should stay home.
Okay. I think, hi, Michelle.
Hi.
Hi, do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question about the pneumonia vaccine that you were
Sure.
talking about. I had received the standard pneumonia vaccine this past year, and the vaccine that you're talking about, is it the same one as the typical pneumonia vaccine?
So there
Or is it
are
something
about, oh my gosh, there's about 20 different pneumonia vaccines now. So if you mean if it was a PCV 20 or 21, or are you talking about Prevnar? I'm not sure which one.
I do have severe asthma, so I'm. a
So it
little
might have been
concerned
the
about
same
making
one.
sure I
It
get
might
the
have been
right
the updated
vaccine.
same one. And you know, and if you had it this year already, it might, if it is the same one that I'm thinking about, then I would recommend waiting until the following season to get the updated version.
Because it was actually this past year that I got that.
Right. So this year you would get the
December of this
updated.
past year, so get the updated one.
Get the
So is
updated
that
one.
considered a booster to that or no? Is it-
So every time a new vaccine comes along, they add strains. So while it's also updated, it's also got additional new strains, which is good for our community.
Okay. Oh, okay. So that's
Okay.
good, right?
Yeah, thank you very much for your info.
Did that answer the
It did, I think.
Okay.
Didn't answer the question. Okay, so you have your own practice
I do.
and you are taking new patients.
I am.
Okay, so tell me where people can find you.
So you can call our office at 248-996-8332.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And you know, I always appreciate seeing you. It's been a
Thank
while,
you.
so thank you
Yes, it's
so
been-
much.
Happy
And-
birthday.
Oh, thank you. I know we're one today. Do I look one? So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And give me your website one more time where people can reach out.
drsandralerner.com.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, one thing that I've been dealing with for years are migraines, and MIND, which stands for the Michigan Institute for Neurological Disorders. They have a state-of-the-art technology. They are located in Farmington Hills, and they just opened the Headache and Facial Pain Center in Farmington Hills. Everything is under one roof. It's so important, especially when you're dealing with migraines and you don't, you know, loud noises, sound, sight, all of it is, it makes it so tough. So they offer a wide range of services. I used to have like 10 to 11 migraines a month, and now I'm down to one, maybe every 3 or 4 months. So it has been awesome. So Mind, they are located in Farmington Hills. They also have offices in Roseville and Dearborn Heights, and you don't have to live in pain. You can find them at mindonline.com. Well, Carrie Craywick, you are here from the Birmingham Maple Clinic, and I intentionally had you come on today because people are going to have a lot of headaches this week. I mean, there's just no easy way to say it. I'm just going to put it out there.
Sure.
Election week, there's been so much political strife, and no matter what side you're on, you're going to either be happy or sad or just maybe in the middle. I don't know. But the holidays are upon us too.
Mhm.
So this could make for some awkward conversations from now until after the holidays. And you don't want to be like I hate your candidate, pass the gravy at Thanksgiving, right? Okay, so you are here to kind of tell us how to be calm, collected, and polite and respectful.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely. Well,
Okay.
certainly adding humor is stress relieving. And so I think that's important. But you're right, doing it in a way that's also respecting someone
Yes.
else. When I was watching yesterday, I was watching, the TV. So you're seeing some of the rallies and of course, the commercials.
The text messages
Yeah.
that come at all hours.
I thought to myself as I was watching it, gosh, wouldn't it be interesting if our candidates were limited from talking about someone else and had to only talk about themselves?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like if they could only talk about their positions, themselves, their
And
points
not-
of view, and
right.
never say anything about the other
Oh,
person.
that's
Yeah.
worth applause.
but really, that's family therapy 101,
Okay.
right? That we should be talking in I statements. We should be talking about our own experiences. That as soon as we start saying you this or you that, we're in dangerous territory, and we're in a place that's going to get counter arguments, defensiveness,
And it's
criticism.
not going to stop.
And it's not
I mean,
gonna
you're just
stop.
going to keep the conversation going and not in a good way.
Not in a good way, and you're not really listening to each other or understanding. I mean, so if you think the healthiest way to approach this is with curiosity and compassion, right? That if you're talking about yourself and you're only asking the other person, tell me how you came to the conclusions you came to, or what things have informed you in your life that led you this way or the other way. That if you come with a really willingness to learn about the other person,
Mhm.
it's much harder to be angry and hostile
Interesting.
at them for either person, right?
Right.
So it's stress
Because you're
relieving.
actually asking about them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, how did you come to that conclusion?
Right. And that my experience, I'm sure everybody's experience, in recent history, is that when someone starts asking you political questions, they're not trying to get to know you, they're trying to persuade you.
Mm-hmm.
And that certainly sets up a different dynamic. And so I think that if you approach it with calmness,
Mm-hmm.
curiosity, and compassion, you'll have a totally different conversation. And even if the person doesn't vote the same as you, you'll have a deeper understanding for what drives the people who do.
Right.
I think deeper down, we all probably want the same things, the stuff that we talk about here: health,
Right.
safety,
Yes.
prosperity. I mean, right. So
Right.
what else is there?
So, okay. So I just had a thought, but the whole idea of, you mentioned privacy,
Yeah.
right? And the whole idea that voting is really a private issue.
Mhm.
Right. And so when people are trying to get it out of you,
Mhm.
say whether and it's all different circumstances, whether it's family or a work colleague.
Yeah.
Right. And so do you think you have to navigate those conversations differently, or is it all the same?
Sure. I don't think, well, yes and no,
Okay.
right? I mean, I do think that, right, there are places that maybe we have more intimate relationships with, that it's appropriate to talk intimately, but I think it depends on the relationship. And I think there are probably places, right, where like those things wouldn't necessarily be considered appropriate, or at different times in our history
Right.
have not. And that part of being respectful, and I mean, I think maybe part of it is planning ahead or preparing, if you don't feel comfortable talking about it in your workplace, that you have sort of a canned phrase that you feel comfortable saying, and that you have it sort of willing and ready, so you're not in this like panicked moment of
Caught off guard,
yeah,
right?
I don't know
And
what to
like,
say.
What did I just say?
Yes, right.
Okay.
So if you kind of have like little, like some little mental wraps of how you're gonna
Mhm.
sort of phrase it, that if someone puts you on the spot, you'll just have your statement and
Just be snappy, right?
yeah, just be
Elevator
snappy with
pitch.
yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so Barbie is here. Barbie, you have a question?
Yes, it's kind of more of a comment. A while ago, someone congratulated me knowing the candidate I wanted
Mhm.
actually made it into the office. And so I make a practice of saying that to someone else, regardless. It's done, it's over.
Yeah.
So congratulations. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, being a good sport.
Yeah, the good sport. That's
Yeah.
exactly what. So
Yeah. Well, I think about even, the stuff that the doctor was saying just before about, like when do we stay home or when don't we,
Mhm.
I mean, I think a lot of these practices are really about being good citizens to one
Right.
another, that even outside of election season, we all have to live together, work together.
Be nice,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
It
be nice,
seems
be
kind of
kind, be
simple.
calm.
Right?
Yeah.
This is Jeanette Snyder, by the way.
Monitoring your own body and your own reactions. I mean, I think that's also, talking to your other guest who was talking about self-care, is like, I think that you have a sense if you're getting uncomfortable in a conversation, or even if you're getting heated, it's an opportunity to take some deep breaths, to take some space, to have, again,
You know,
like,
I'm going to interrupt you. So
Sure.
so if you
Yeah.
feel yourself getting stressed
Mhm.
and anxious, and you're starting to react off the other person, whoever it is, whether it's
Mhm.
family, whoever,
Mhm.
how give us the the steps to calm down?
Sure. I mean, I love the first thing you did when you got here today. You said, I'm feeling stressed today and I have no idea why. I mean, simply saying that out loud
I was
is
much better on the
helpful.
second take. It was amazing. I don't know what
Yeah,
happened.
but it was helpful for you, but it's also helpful for the people around you, right?
Right.
Is that then they can say, okay, like there's something going on here. Maybe, right, you like sort of reveal that. And then like, again, that relieves your own stress, but it also puts other people in a situation to say, hey, there's something here we need to be aware of. So certainly, taking inventory of, right, what's going on. Are you clenching? Is your heart rate going? Are you talking faster than normal? Are you talking louder than normal? Like,
Oh, gosh, I think I was doing all those things.
So, right. So then I think just making even one change will help you. Right. So if you realize you're talking louder or faster than normal and you just make one cognitive, step to say, okay, I'm going to lower my voice, that will naturally lower your other stress responses too. Right. So it's like a volume dial. You're just going to turn it down one notch and then maybe turn it down another and then turn it down. If you focus on one thing at a time, it can be easier to control.
Okay, so I have twins, and I will say this without divulging who is who. One is they're 12, so they cannot vote, and one is a Republican, one is a Democrat, and they will say to me all the time, "Who are you voting for? Who are you voting for?" And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
None of your business.
Yeah.
None of your business.
None of your business. No, and I think, I grew up in a household where it was considered very private. My parents did not reveal to each other or to us who they voted for. Some households, there is even that's like sort of conflictual.
Oh, don't get me wrong. We talk for hours at dinner about politics,
Yes.
right? But it's so interesting to hear their perspectives because here they are, 12 years old. They're years away from voting, but I'm glad that they're already talking about it. The conversation's already happening. I may not agree with them, either of them, at any point, but
right. But I think, there is, I think, and this is an awesome way to model this, right? That we can exist in the same household because we do, and this is happening in many.
It's no different than Michigan State and Michigan fans, right?
It's the same thing. Exactly. Well, so people do exist together, and that, like how can we model that respectful conversation? Where did you get this information? Where are you hearing, your sources?
And I do ask them to cite sources. I do because I'm like, okay, where did you exactly hear that?
Yeah.
And can you print that out? And they're like, we don't have a printer at home. I'm like, oh, too bad for you.
I love this brings up something too. I think that when we have something, if maybe someone has some misinformation, instead of just telling them, you can ask their permission. Would you like to hear the sources that I use, or would you like to hear what I've heard? And instead of just telling someone, well, this, and this, or this is why you're wrong, you can say, may I?
May I?
Yeah, may I?
May I?
Yeah, may I give you some information that I have, or may I?
May I send you to your room?
Yes, right. So but in offering, of course, in adult to adult conversations, right? We don't have to necessarily just interject our opinion. We can actually ask someone if they could invite us in, just like you wouldn't walk into someone else's home.
True.
You'd ring the doorbell and wait for them.
And you'd be polite.
Yeah. So respecting those boundaries from the beginning, right? The boundaries between us, there's two, there's mine and there's yours, right? And so I can say, hey, can I come to you with my information, and you can choose,
right?
Yes or no.
Okay. What do you think of the statement? I respectfully disagree with you.
Yeah. I think that's great.
I mean, Thanksgiving, the holidays are right around, and I don't know what nobody knows how it's going to turn out. But for the family who is divided, what is your one piece of advice for them?
Sure. I think if you were say, for example, the host in a household that knew you were inviting divided guests, is maybe to have also some prepared activities. If there was certain games or certain topics, family history, family photos, things that are really meaningful, that maybe even just some certain conversation starters or something, so that if things got a little strange, you would sort of be able to interject. Okay. Let's talk about this or that or something else.
Remember when I was 5 years old?
But even other activities, let's take a family walk after a meal, or let's
watch some football.
Go watch some football. Right. There's so many other things to do, but even just thinking of time and space, even separating people, hey, why don't you come with me and let's start the dishes, and someone else, why don't you go out in the garage and get the Christmas decorations or something, and kind of naturally,
here's my keys.
Naturally have some space. Right.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carrie. So, okay. So Jeanette Schneider is here. She is the president of Southeastern Michigan REMAX, right? Yeah. REMAX. And so this is interesting. This is actually a really good week to buy a house.
And you wouldn't think that,
no,
right?
isn't that crazy?
It's kind of sneaky.
It is sneaky. So
Yeah.
what is going on? Why is
Well,
that?
it's kind of a combination of factors, right? And
Okay.
part of it is this is the time of the year where there starts to be less competition from buyers because
Okay.
you do have some that says, if I haven't found it by now, I'm just going to kind of maybe
Kind
wait
of
till
wait,
next
right?
year.
Because who wants to move in the winter, right?
Well, I did, but
Oh yeah, me too. Actually, now that I think about it,
but I mean, but there are a lot of people that say, maybe this isn't, maybe this isn't the time. So we start to have a little less competition.
okay,
We also have sellers that start to be a little bit more motivated.
Okay.
Kind of what you talked about.
Right.
Winter's coming,
Yes.
inclement
it's
weather.
like okay, let's just get
Yeah,
this
people
done,
coming in
right?
and out of my house with that.
Right.
And we've got the holidays, and it'd be really nice to have my house under contract so I don't have to keep it showing worthy.
Oh, right.
When I'm trying to entertain and have
Right.
parties. So you've got a little bit of that.
Okay.
You also tend to have right about now is going to be where inventory is going to peak for this time of the year before we likely see a decline going into December, January, February.
Okay.
So if you are a buyer,
Mhm.
this is probably one of the weeks you're going to have a little bit more choice in the matter than you're going to
Interesting.
in the coming few months.
Okay, so are people still showing? I mean, showing your house and doing all that, and it's a thing, and it's so exhausting.
It is. I mean, and that's actually another thing with this time of the year tends to have a little bit different pace to it.
Okay.
It is still it is still competitive for buyers because it is still leaning towards a seller's market, but the pace of the market isn't typically in November and December what it is in, let's say, May, June, and July.
Okay.
And so, likely you're going to be able to view the house, and if you want mom or dad to come look, you'll have the time to do it, not the highest and best offer in 24 hours
right.
TikTok.
It's a
and
huge
a
rush.
huge rush. And it's the same for, all the ancillary service providers, the inspectors, your lender, and everybody else. They're all still busy, but it's not the frantic pace typically spring and summer has.
Okay, so election week. I
Mhm.
mean, this kind of plays into it too, right?
It does. I mean, and it's really interesting
So
how the
bizarre.
presidential, how the presidential election, can influence, and it doesn't do it directly. It does it, first of all, kind of a lot of people take a wait and see,
Okay.
at this time
Right.
of the year for a variety of different things when there's an election, a presidential election hanging in the balance.
Okay.
We see in the numbers that in a normal year, home sales in October and November will decline about 9%.
Mhm.
In an election year, 15%.
Wow.
So there is something to the whole.
Right.
Let's wait and see what's going to happen. The other thing where a presidential election can influence it, it's more individual in kind of three different things. Is there uncertainty?
Mhm.
How do you feel about potential policies that are going to come in? And what's your consumer confidence?
Yes.
And I think we're all kind of on pins and needles because there doesn't seem to be a clear path. I mean,
Right.
razor thin in the swing states, razor thin
Mhm.
nationally. So you don't really know if your candidate's going to win, which leads to uncertainty. I'm not sure I'm confident in the election.
Right.
And that has people pull back.
And of course,
as
interest
well.
rates, and I mean, there's all these financial factors that impact people, and the wait and see seems to make sense almost.
It doesn't. It's interesting because everybody was waiting and waiting and waiting and praying the Fed would do something with interest rates in September. And they did.
Right.
And then what happened to mortgage rates?
Hmm.
They went up.
Yeah.
I mean, not substantially,
Right.
but they didn't do what I think a lot of folks maybe thought that they were going to do.
Right.
And in fact, because the market had baked in what the Fed did.
Mhm.
So rates went down in September and, kind of working together with that. And then they've ticked up. And experts, anything I'm reading, saying don't really expect much of a change between now and the end of the year. They might move around a little bit,
Right.
but they're probably going to be around 6.4 to end the year.
Okay.
And looking into next year, a little bit of the crystal balling
Mhm.
is looking into next year as it relates to mortgage rates is they're going to be like, I'm calling it the molasses slide.
Okay.
They're going to
I'm
likely,
just seeing syrup just
yeah,
go.
just very slowly. Because what they're probably saying is at the end of next year, mortgage rates will be about 5.9.
Okay.
So a little less than now, certainly.
Right.
But if you're waiting for rates to nosedive, don't.
Right.
If you want to do this and you've got a job and you've got the ability financially to do
Well,
it.
plus, what about missing the house that you really want?
Well,
That's kind of the drag too. It's like, oh, I love that house and now it's gone, or I'm just going to wait and see. And of course, it's sold.
It's sold. I mean, and the other thing is, what time is going to do to your asset because your home is also an asset.
Right.
And while you're waiting, for interest rates to reach a point that they may never reach again in our lifetime,
Right.
Because we do have some folks that seem to think 3 is coming back.
Oh,
I'm not in that camp.
what's your crystal ball saying?
My crystal ball saying, or was it magic 8 ball? Not likely, something like that.
Try again.
Yeah, ask again later. I don't think that's going to happen. But what I do anticipate, because there is still a shortage of homes,
Mhm.
it has been a slow year. We thought last year was slow. This year's actually been a tad bit slower.
Okay.
Nationally, this is going to be the lowest number of home sales since 1995.
Wow.
So there's not a lot out there. So there is still continued that upward pressure on the value of homes that do come on the market and the homes that we hold. So holding off waiting, you're also potentially setting aside, the building of appreciation that you could get into today
Right.
and kind of ride the whole wave.
Okay. So what is your number one piece of advice to somebody looking to buy a new home?
I'd say get with the lender, understand what you can afford, and understand the programs that are out there for you. Because depending on if you're a first time buyer, if you're buying, maybe rural, if you're a veteran, there are other programs that are out there. Let's make sure you're talking to a local expert, about the programs that are available for you.
Okay.
And then armed with that, go talk to an experienced agent. This is not a market where you want somebody that hasn't done this before.
Oh, for sure.
You get somebody that's familiar with the area or areas that you might be looking, and talk to them about what they're seeing. What's how long is it taking? What are they seeing? As far as condition of homes, how much elbow grease might you have to put in at the price point you're looking at?
Right.
But actually get a good team, get a good expert team around you,
And know what you can afford.
Yeah.
That's key. Okay.
Yeah.
So what about for the seller?
Sellers, you want to be realistic. I think sellers, for the most part, they're realistic. We still have a few out there that, keep hearing, which is true. It is leaning more towards the seller. It is more of a seller's market, but you have to be realistic on your pricing. I think where buyers have now come, because it's been a couple of years of this type of market,
Right.
is, buyers are starting to say, you know what, I'm not willing to get in a heated bidding war and get myself in over my head because I got sucked into this highest and best offer and, all of that. So I think buyers are being more pragmatic. So from a selling perspective, price it right. It's better to actually come in maybe on the low end of the price point and let competition or buyers
drive it up
Okay. Versus you trying to start here and then finding crickets because you priced it, over the point where they're doing their search. They're not even seeing your home.
It, right?
And if they come to it, they're like, but it needs this and it's kind of at the high point. Again, the marketing of that is critical, and you want to work with somebody who really knows your market to help guide that decision for you.
Okay. And one more question. What are the hot zip codes?
Hot zip codes.
I love asking that question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Oakland Township is always a hot zip code. Kind of if you're looking for, probably a little bit more new construction, things of that nature.
Right.
I was going to say Livonia is always a hot zip code, a little bit more on the other end of the market. If you're looking at first time home buyer,
Right.
And things of that nature. Kind of depends. Right now, realistically, a lot of the zip codes are hot because there's just so little inventory. If you go out and look, put a price parameter in once in any city and just see sometimes how few results there actually
I live
are.
in Berkeley, and it's funny because for sale signs pop up, and then probably I'm walking the dog and I'm like, oh, that one's already off the market. Oh, that one. Oh, there's a new one for sale. It's really bizarre.
You start to question.
Yeah,
Did I see the sign?
I know.
Was
Yeah,
it there?
was it there? And I'm like, wait, is that my house for sale? What's happening? No.
like when people move election signs,
I know, right?
Let's move a for sale
It's like,
sign.
for sale, for sale, for sale. Wait, I love my house. No. Well, listen, thank you so much. I
pleasure.
always appreciate seeing you. And it's just an integral time right now for people who owning your home is your biggest asset. Usually,
It
right?
is. It is. It's a fun thing. It's an asset you get to live in, unlike
I
your
know, right?
401k. So
We love that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
thank you. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Dave, I'm sorry, I didn't. So this is Dave Rotter, and he was with Gusher. We are talking about AI with you. AI and, people using it in job searches or not, and if they should be. And the answer to if they should be using AI is a resounding yes, right? So you were from Gusher Human Services. And so tell me what's going on, because this is so people are either afraid of AI, embrace AI, or they don't even know what to think about it.
Right. Okay. Thanks for having me, Brooke. I'm
My
so
pleasure.
happy to be here. Wow. My name is Dave, and I am the supervisor of computer training, and I'm also an instructor at Gesher Human Services. And what I teach is basic computing to adults. I teach, if you've been out of the game for a while, if you're looking for work, if you have a resume and you don't know how to update your resume, or if you're just going back to work and job hunting for the first time in a long time, things have changed.
Yes, very much so,
Things
right?
have
Very
changed.
much so. So, like even navigating LinkedIn, there's a lot of social media comes into play in a big way now.
Definitely. When you're applying to a job, you have to stand out. If the job is posted on Monday and there's 100 applicants, by Tuesday, 10 of them will get interviews. And my mission is to help you get in there. It's to help you boost your resume and your cover letter to be one of those top 10% to get that interview. You get the interview, you're on your own. I can help you. I can coach you.
That's where Terry comes in.
That's a great start,
Getting
though.
the interview. That's my lane.
All right, so your lane is getting the interview.
Right.
Okay.
Standing out is making sure that your resume and your cover letter is chock full of those keywords, those gold nuggets, and you find them in the job call, in the want ad.
Okay.
So part of what I do is I give an AI presentation.
Mhm.
The next one is coming up in November 21st.
I should know that.
Yeah, I
Hold
should
on,
know
let
it.
me
I'm
see.
sorry. We'll get back to it. Cut. But I'll get back with you on the exact date. But what we do in the presentation is I take a live one from the crowd and I say, do you have a resume? Are you looking for a job?
Mhm.
Great. So here's your resume. Here's the job call. We put them together and we prompt AI.
Oh,
Prompt is please pass the salt or
Mhm.
would you close the door, please?
Okay.
But in this instance, I'm prompting AI. I'm going to AI, which is much like a chat field.
Mhm.
That's all it is.
Okay.
It's your secret friend.
Mhm.
It's a homework machine. It's a therapist. It's a trusted advisor.
Give
It's
me
all
1
of the
second.
above.
I'm gonna just.
The new best buddy.
He's your new best buddy.
Yes.
Exactly. One or two of them. I
Mhm.
like to use Google Gemini or chatgpt.com.
Mhm.
And you go, please rewrite this resume summary statement and skill cloud. And you copy and paste your resume
Mhm.
as per this job call. And you copy and paste the job call. And I get chills every time. I do.
It's like pure magic, right?
It is magic. It is
Okay, so
nothing
you
short
are
of magic.
actually having, is it seminars, so people can come to you.
Yes, come to Gesher Human Services, geshermi.org or 248-559-5000 and call us, come by. We have open computer lab every Friday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. I'll be there. You can use our computers. You can use our internet. I'm there to coach you.
Mhm.
I'm there to introduce you to AI.
And what do you say to people who are kind of weary of AI?
Okay, I am too, by the way.
Okay.
And I'm glad that you bring that up. And when
Are you real, by the way? Okay.
Yeah, I'm a human being. I don't work for Google. I
It's
just
a
went,
hologram.
I'm so
Never
happy. I work at Gesher. I'm blessed to be there. I learn I learn every day, all day from everyone. And we're graced with public and private funding, and everything we do basically is free.
And that's amazing.
There's scholarships available for those who need it.
Mhm.
And if you need help, if that scholarship isn't, if you can't make your portion, work with me. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
So let's get that out of the way.
Mhm.
But what do I say to the people that are nervous about AI? I am too.
Okay.
And here's what I'm nervous about. AI is so good that it helps the bad people do their bad work as well as the good people do their good work.
Mm.
So let's unpack that.
All right, I'm going to give that a clap because there's so many things that are interesting. right?
Most of us are
That's
just
fine.
people, we just want to get by, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the helpers. There's
Mhm.
people who want to help people, right? Then there's the bad people who do their bad work, and then there's the worst people who get other people to do their bad work.
Mhm.
And so what I mean by that is I'm nervous about AI, that there's so much bad work that looks like good work.
Mhm.
And it's the consumer. It's all of our responsibilities to understand those horrible mailers that you get every day for the election.
Mhm.
You think that both sides are the devil, right?
Right.
And that gets back to let's just build each other up. Let's look for the positive. The people that are nervous about AI, I say this: don't be nervous about it. Everybody's using it, and if you're a good person, use it for good.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. That is awesome. And okay, so you were talking about getting the interview. Terry Bean is a personal coach, and you are all about once they walk in that interview door of kind of building a person up and making them stronger, right?
It's all about personal branding. How do you stick out, right? And when you're doing the interview, or whether you're trying to run a nonprofit or whether you're trying to grow your business, you've got to be different in a way that you're memorable and that you're relatable and that people actually kind of like you.
Do they have to like you though? I mean, really? Is that a thing?
It always
It
helps.
does help, doesn't it?
It always helps.
It always helps.
Right.
Okay, so when somebody calls you up or messages you on LinkedIn or whatever, not that I've ever done that, but whatever, what are they saying? What are they looking for?
Usually they're looking for, how do I go from where I am right now to where I want to be? Like, I have these lofty goals, and there's got to be a path that's going to be more streamlined than me smashing my face into this wall.
Because it's frustrating.
It's so
Right?
frustrating.
It's so frustrating. And when you say have a great idea, maybe like 51 episodes ago, and now you're at 52.
Right.
But the struggle's real.
That's
I
it.
mean, no matter what industry you're in, whether it's real estate, AI, I mean, whatever, it's real, and you kind of help people navigate that.
Most people have a lot of ideas on what they want to do, but they're not really sure which one should I do now.
Okay.
Which one should I do next? And which one of these should I
Never do?
ever do? And so that's what I help. Now
Okay.
and next, never.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the one thing you say to somebody who has a lot of ideas, but they don't know where to start?
Let's talk about it. Let's get it out. Let's figure out, where do you want to go, right?
Mhm.
What's true north?
Is that where you start really? Is like, what's your end goal?
Where are we trying to go? I tell people I start with the mirror,
Mhm.
right? I will sit down with you and I will hold this up so we hear your heart's desire,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
that was where this whole conversation started earlier today,
Right,
right? The first
right.
conversation was,
Exactly.
what's that truth?
Mhm.
And so where do we want to be? And so once we figure that out, then it's a matter of shedding all of the things that aren't actually going to help you get there.
Okay.
And that piece is like the fun stuff, because so often we have this to-do list that's like 47 pages long.
Mhm.
You don't know anything about that. I can tell just by chatting with you. You don't know that one.
My mom would say she's never written a to-do list in her life.
And so it's a matter of saying, listen, we're going to get rid of the guilt and the shame for not accomplishing the things that we set out to do,
Right.
and carrying those things over time and time again. Focus on these handful of things.
Mhm.
This one, then that one, then this one.
Baby
and
steps.
Skip the rest of it. Sometimes it's giant leaps.
Giant leap. Oh, and speaking of giant leaps,
There's-
JoJo Drive is here, right? This is it. She is.
Execution
Yes,
personified right
they know
there,
each
that
other
girl.
too. Everyone knows each other here
Yeah.
today. So on the Wings of Angels, I will disclose that you and I are very good friends,
Yes,
right?
we
So I
are.
will disclose that. But on the Wings of Angels, I had met you originally a couple years ago, and then On the Wings of Angels did not exist yet.
No.
And you were one of my last interviews I did at WWJ
Yes.
about the creation of On the Wings of Angels.
Yes.
And now here we are, and you are a year in, right?
Yes.
You are a year in, a year and a half, and and you and Terry has actually helped you,
Yes,
right?
he has. Yes, he has.
Okay.
I'd like to start by actually saying thank you to both of you. So
High five.
I think,
That's us.
we
I
match.
think, yes, you
Triple
do.
time.
I think on your journey to success, there's this idea, whatever your path is, there's this idea you have in your head of what that's going to look like. And I think you need to surround yourself with people that challenge that idea, because ultimately people see you a lot bigger and better than maybe sometimes you see yourself. And so in my life, I've tried to surround myself with people that are observing what's happening in my life and able to take me to those next levels. And so on this journey of On the Wings of Angels, how many times did I call you and say, what about this, Brooke? What do you think about this? Do you think people would go for something like this?
Mhm.
And a few months ago, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, I need a coach, because ultimately my story has taken us this far. I'm a domestic violence survivor myself, and many people in our community have heard my story. But I said there is a bigger audience that needs to hear this than just what we're talking to right now. So I called Terry and I said, this is what I'd like to do. And he did exactly what he said. He did this deep dive into sort of where we were, where we wanted to go, and what exactly was my message. And so we've done a lot of sifting over the last few months of the now, next, and never. And it's transformed my life. So I wouldn't be here today. I think a lot to do with both of you. So I want to thank you for both of that.
Thank you,
All right.
Joe.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no,
It's important.
So that's huge for you.
It's amazing.
That is
right?
amazing, right?
Like if you could have all your friends and all your clients be JoJo,
Mhm.
who ask for advice, take it, do the work,
And actually do it.
excel like crazy,
Right?
And then are kind enough to say that you had something to do with
Right.
it.
I know.
Like-
Come on, man.
Well, and I think it's an important testimony. Even I stopped one of your other guests and said how awesome it was that she spoke to the real estate and mortgage market the way she did, because having been in mortgage for over 2 decades, a lot of people get up and talk about that market with no professionalism, with no expertise. And the advice that was given, and I think that's a lot what's lacking in society, is we need to not be silos. We need to listen to each other and be partners and in a community.
Collaborations, right?
Collaboration.
And that's what's
Yeah.
been interesting. I mean, I've mentioned it time and again with this show. I never expected, because it is live and there's guests here, PR people here,
Yeah.
and the collaborations that have come out of this, and just it's been so cool to say, I mean, we had like 2 canasta partners here, right?
Yeah.
And they did, I mean, it was,
Yeah.
but it's just so awesome to see people talking and being willing to share how they became successful. It's not that, often we hear about, oh, we're going to empower people, but then they turn around and they're really not doing that.
Correct.
And that
Correct.
is something that has been really interesting for me.
Yeah.
Right.
And on your own journey.
Yes. And obviously in the broadcast business anyway, it's tough already.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. But the whole idea of empowering people, bringing them along and helping everyone can raise to the top.
Well, we actually asked Terry to jump on one of our board meetings recently. And we said, you've facilitated a lot of organizations or groups or companies and their meetings and taken them to the next level. We were having like some questions around certain topics within the board. And so we said, why don't we have someone come in from the outside?
Like
and
objective.
Objective. Yep. And so that was really cool, because by the end of that 60-minute board meeting, we had results that we didn't think we were going to have that were tangible. Yes.
Awesome.
So it
And
was
months
very
in the
cool.
making. Right?
Months in the making. And then you come in and it's like this facilitation. And I think it's important to look outside of yourself for those types of things. So,
Right.
yeah.
And, there's no shame in asking for help. I mean,
Yeah.
you knew that you could navigate this, but you
Yes.
could do it better with Terry's help.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right, Terry, we got an appointment coming up.
I'm looking forward to it. Let's go, girl. Let's do it.
We've got an appointment. Okay. So real quick, on the Wings of Angels, you've got so much going on.
We do.
For anyone who's not familiar with what this is,
Yes.
tell me.
So On the Wings of Angels was founded as a no red tape nonprofit. So we are your immediate and tangible resource needs for domestic violence survivors. So a lot of times when you're coming out of a domestic violence situation, you can't even think straight because you are in fight or flight mode. You're just figuring out, how do I survive? And so people call all types of nonprofits, and we collaborate, speaking of which, with several local nonprofits. In fact, one of them called us and said, hey, we have a survivor that, and this was all over the news, but the abuser had come in, shot up the home. The abuser came in and was trying to kill the survivor. The son of the survivor, stepson, was in the closet with her hiding, came out and, had a gun, and that whole situation unfolded. Well, when that happened, now she has to pay a home deductible, right? So this is like a perfect example of the immediate and tangible need. She has to pay a home deductible to fix her home. That particular nonprofit didn't have emergency funds for that. So they called us and we wrote a check to help with the home deductible, in addition to asking one of our larger donors to also match that. And then we were able to cover that full home deductible for the survivor. So it's tangible things like that. We had a lady with this is my favorite recent story. We had a woman who called us. Her husband, now ex-husband, was so mad that she was an Uber driver making her own money that he took the car that she was driving, that she was renting to drive, and he crashed it into a wall. And so now she no longer has income, and Uber and Avis, where she was renting the car from, had a $3,500 penalty for her because she just crashed this rental.
Right.
So she went and appealed this. They didn't accept the fact that it was her ex-husband. Okay, now there's still a penalty. She went to court. We sent a security agent with her to court to testify against and make that victim response. Then we called Uber and Avis and said, we want to put an appeal in to waive this. Because first I was going to write the check for the $3,500.
And then it's kind of like, but wait.
It's like, but wait, it's not
There's
her
more
fault.
to this story.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So Uber and Avis waived the $3,500 after we got all the paperwork together.
After
we stepped in. And then we paid for a month for her to rent a vehicle, to now she's back to driving Uber, making her own income. One of our partners, iCare, went ahead and paid for another month, and we paid for a third month. So now 3 months out of this, her aunt and her grandma said, oh, you're on the path now. You're actually doing something to get away from him. they put a down payment for her for a home. She's now living in a new home with a new car, and all because we had support.
That is so awesome, JoJo. Seriously,
Thank you.
that is amazing. And
Thank you.
I mean, the stuff that you're doing out in the community is just phenomenal. You have a clothing drive also coming up.
Yes. So we are accepting donations, clothing for women, toys, books, and toiletries.
Mhm.
This the drop off will be at a warehouse in Troy. Our good friend has donated her warehouse to us, so we're going to create a store within this warehouse
That's cool.
so that survivors can come in, shop at their leisure, and it will only be female survivors at this time this
Okay.
year. For this year,
Right.
it's our first
But
one
with children.
with children,
Right? Boys
Yep.
and girls. I mean,
boys and
so-
girls.
Okay.
Yep, all genders as far as children,
Mhm.
but for the adults, we're going to keep, because we want them to feel secure
For sure.
when they come and shop. We've gotten together with the Troy Police. They're going to provide us female officers
Mhm.
to keep security tight there, and we need volunteers to be able to sort through the clothes, and we need donations for the clothes as well.
Okay, so how do people do this?
So November 18th through the 22nd, we'll be accepting donations.
Okay.
And drop off is 9:30 to 5, and the address is 1270 Souter in Troy, Michigan. And then on December 14th will be the day of shopping. So we need volunteers after the drop off days to sort through everything and make it a beautiful store.
Okay, so you are on the Wings of Angels is actually our caffeinated act of kindness, and so I have a question. It just popped into my head. Random things do. What if we made this people who come to the show? Could they bring?
Oh, 100%. And then you and I could meet, or
Yes.
one of our volunteers.
But I mean,
could
they
meet.
can come. Yeah,
They can come bring things.
They
and
can.
then,
Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
we can make
What a
this.
great
We can make
That's
this
a
a
great-
drop off.
oh, that would be amazing.
Okay.
That would be amazing.
I'm excited.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's
Okay.
so kind.
Yes,
I
no,
really-
I'm like, why didn't I think of this? So
That's
okay.
very thoughtful.
Okay, so next week we are actually on location for Veterans Day. We're doing a special Veterans Day show, so we will not be here at Imagine next week, but we will be here the 18th and the 25th. So people, when's the cutoff for the?
So, well, we're going to continue accepting donations, but we're going to really try to get everyone in between the 18th and the 22nd.
Okay,
The warehouse will be open from 9:30 to 5.
Mhm.
But for your
You'll make an
audience,
exception.
I will. For
She'll
your
make an
audience, I
exception
will.
for us. I'm excited about
Yes.
that. Okay,
Yes,
awesome.
we will.
Thank you,
We
JoJo.
appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
No,
Brooke and
no.
Jason. Appreciate
And we
this.
will, I mean, all month long. Of course, there are some specifics, statistics
Yes.
regarding domestic violence and veterans as well.
Yes, there are.
so
And
we'll-
we'll be giving those to
Yep,
you.
we'll be talking
And
about those.
50% of workplace violence originates from a domestic violence situation. And so I think it's important that HR directors and people like that are listening know that there is an availability for folks like us to come in and talk to your team
Right.
to figure out what are the signs we should look for? How do we fix this problem as a community? And I think it's very bold and brave for you, Brooke, to have somebody like us on. Domestic violence is a topic that is often shoved under the rug.
Mhm.
So thank you for the opportunity and happy 1 year. Talk about empowerment. Thank you.
Can I say something before you go?
Yes.
So I own Time Warp Vintage, and we have access to a lot of estate sales. And I've already gotten confirmation from one estate sale company that they will contact us after the estate sale is done and invite on the Wings of Angels in to come and
Oh,
take
wow.
any of the clothing or textiles that is necessary.
Oh my
And
goodness.
to all of the estate sale companies out there, this is a great way to unload the stuff that hasn't sold, as long as it is usable,
Yes.
good condition,
Good condition.
and you look
Yes.
for only
Right now, we're doing strictly female survivors
Mm-hmm.
for this because we want that specific space to be a very safe space for female
so
survivors.
women's clothing, something
Women
people can wear to
clothing.
work.
Yep. So it'll be,
Mhm.
and a lot of people are asking, do we just need career clothes? So we need career, everyday
We need
clothes.
cozy clothes.
Cozy clothes.
Cozy clothes.
For these
right?
women
We're in
when
Michigan.
they're coming out. Exactly. Especially now, winter, we need the winter hats and boots and
and for
obviously-
children too. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
And toys and
Toys.
you know,
yes.
so we were buying all of this for all of our current survivors. We've helped dozens of survivors already in the last year and a half.
Right.
And we thought, oh, well, why don't we just do something like this? Community loves to pop in and help. And thank you,
Absolutely.
Jason. That's very kind of you and your
Absolutely.
team to do that.
Yep.
It's awesome. I appreciate it.
High five, lady.
Thank you.
Thanks for the apple pie.
Yes. Enjoy.
We got a celebration 1 year apple pie.
Yes.
Super excited about that. Okay, Mr. Jason.
I know. I'm
Wow,
so
can
excited.
Can you believe it?
What do you want to do first? You want to do the in studio or the?
No, let's do
The big one?
The big giveaway because
Okay.
thanks to Imagine.
So Imagine Theater this year or this month was the giveaway,
Mm-hmm.
and it was for you and 10 of your friends to
Closest friends.
have a private screening here at the Palladium for any movie that you want that is currently showing or that is in their stockpile. And
Mhm.
Christmas is coming up, so it's a great holiday thing. And we have chosen, do you want to say it? You want me to say it?
Go ahead.
Greg Dawson.
All right, Greg Dawson.
Dawson.
Greg Dawson.
So, Greg, grab 9 of your friends,
Yes.
pick a movie that you guys want to see. It would
Will
be
you hand me
great.
that basket real quick? I have an explanation.
Absolutely. It would be a great holiday family gathering.
Okay, Greg, so here's the
Yeah.
deal. There's no chocolate in this because I'm allergic. So I put all my favorite candy in this, which is hot tamales, Dots, Good and Plenty, Swedish fish, and some popcorn, of course. So Greg Dawson, just reach out to us and
Yep.
let us know how we can get this to you. It's super exciting to be able to be here and watch a movie of your choosing with
Yep.
your 9 closest friends. So
And-
congratulations.
I'll reach out to him as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank
Just
you.
to make sure, because, sometimes people forget.
Yes, exactly. Okay, and now because one of the benefits of coming to the show in person is that we always have, I guess, door prizes, right? Sounds like bingo. But we have door prizes that we give, and we actually have numbers on the seats. And how are we doing this?
Let's see. Jojo, pick a number, right? Maybe?
Yeah, go ahead.
1 through 18.
Between, is it 1
1 through
through
8.
18?
11.
Oh,
1
1
through
through 11. Okay, 1 through 11.
8.
8.
On the
Who's-
sides of
on
your
the
chairs,
sides of your
there is a
chairs,
number on the
there's
sides of the
an-
back of your chair.
Well, who is sitting here because that one's empty?
Oh, 8 is
Okay.
empty?
So let's go to another
Someone
one.
was.
Okay.
4, the month of my birth.
Number 4.
April.
4? Anyone? 4? Oh,
All right.
all right. All right. And then there is 1. Okay, so now pick one more number. And Barbie, do you have a number you can pick for me?
I would say 8. But 2.
2.
All
All right,
right.
Michelle. All right. Awesome. Okay, so we have, come on up here. And so Pat and Michelle are our winners.
Mhm.
All right. And Michelle,
come on
yep,
up
come
and
on
get your thing.
come on over here. I'm going to let Michelle pick first because she is actually a veteran. And I invited her
Yes.
to the show because I wanted to see you and say thank you for your service, even though Veterans Day is not until next week.
And thank you
And
for
your
your service.
Yes, thank you for your service. Okay, so you get to pick which one you like.
I will take the one
Okay.
with the pink.
All right,
colors.
the color pink. And Pat, and you're welcome. And Pat, enjoy, Levy. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so you have both been with me on this journey since the very beginning.
Yes.
52
I
episodes
know, I
in.
can't
We
believe
are
this.
we are 1 year. And so this is the time, and it's funny because I forgot about this, that in podcast language, this is actually the end of season 1,
Yep.
which means next week will be officially season 2.
Season 2.
I can't even believe it. So,
Can I tell you,
yeah.
there was a couple people sent congratulations. Your mom.
Oh, my mom.
Your
Thanks,
mom,
Mom.
Dorothy. Dorothy wrote that she is extremely proud of you and watches every week.
Does she? Does she really? I'm not
One year
sure
to my
about
daughter. Love you and so proud of you.
Aw, thanks, Mom.
Steve, happy anniversary. Linda, this is great. Happy 1 year. Linda Sellen.
Yes, from Skinny Teas.
Say her last name for me.
Schlesinger Wagner.
Schlesinger Wagner. Lisa Anderson, love this. What a great program. I mean, people are loving you.
So our reach is what?
Our reach is 92,000 right now. And with an approximately 11, 22, almost 30,000 followers between the pages we stream on.
Mhm.
And
And our
it's growing.
very first show, it's so funny because I was so excited. We had 713 views. And I was like, woohoo! I'm rocking and rolling. But now we're average,
Yeah,
but now it's in the thousands. So I am just so thankful for
Mhm.
everyone. Real quick, our After Dark show, we have done that. We thought it was going to be every month. It's a lot.
it's a lot.
It's a lot. So
Mhm.
we are now have a date for that After Dark Holiday Extravaganza. That is happening right here at the Palladium. That is December 9th. We'll have more details coming out.
So
about
you're
that.
all invited.
All
that are
invited. We
here.
are going to have vendors here. So if you're
Yep.
interested, please reach out to us. Also, of course, we'll have relationship topics, the holidays, gift ideas, just all of that.
Mhm.
And a ribbon cutting. I have a ribbon cutting
Oh, yeah,
coming
on
up.
the
Yes,
14th.
on the
You do,
14th.
yes.
So
That's
that
amazing.
is happening
Mhm.
at the Lakes Area Chamber of Commerce. That is at
Oh,
10
yeah, I
a.m.
saw that.
Yes. So
Yes.
Mhm.
I expect you to be there.
It's Polly's birthday.
Oh, that's right. And then also, so later that day, and I'm very excited about this, later that day, that evening, I'm actually hosting the inaugural Awards of Excellence. This is where professionals are going to be coming from across the state to gather. It's happening in Lansing for all the great things that are done for seniors because I have the segment halfway to 100. They've asked me to MC this. I'm super thrilled for that. And 40 plus senior centers will be in attendance in Lansing. It's a big extravaganza, formal wear, I believe. So I'm excited to be there.
amazing.
So just so much that has happened, and
It's gonna be
I
fun.
can't say thank you enough to you, Jason, of
Yes.
course,
I'm
for
here
being
every
with us
day.
through the beginning.
Yep.
Alex, of course, Barbie, who has come on. She's
You
all
can step
hugging.
over here for people to see you guys. It's the 1 year. So Barbie, come over here.
Oh, she's going this way. Which way is she
Come on
going?
behind
She's all
so that,
confused.
all the watchers can see. So, and then this is
Alex,
Barbie.
yes.
Barbie takes care of all of
She dressed
Brooke's
me.
look,
Yes, so thank
as
you,
well
Barbie.
as
Yes.
set design
Sustainable
and
fashion.
directing.
Yes.
And then Alex is our engineer here.
Thanks,
So
Alex. And Jenna's in the house today.
yes, and Jenna is floating around here
yes,
somewhere.
she's right there.
Oh, right there.
Right there. And honestly, thank you to everyone who comes to watch the show live, who watches it online. I just, it's been quite the journey. Said I wasn't going to cry. She did my mascara really heavy today, so I'm not going to cry. But like I said to you, next week we're on location celebrating Veterans Day, honoring veterans. So we will not be
Good.
here.
Good interviews you have coming up.
Yeah,
too
we
for
have some
that.
really good interviews, and
Real quick, you were at the cemetery this week, weren't you?
I was
With your-
yes, with Carson. He was.
Yeah.
We were there because both my kids are in BSA, and so we were there helping Drew Lang, is his
Mhm.
name, with his Eagle Scout project
Wow.
because it's super important. And so it was the Circle of Honor, part of the cemetery, and all the scouts were cleaning off veterans'
That's
graves.
fantastic.
Wow. That's
so
amazing.
so I have a quick interview with him that will air next
Awesome.
week. Yeah, but
That's
it is,
amazing.
it's all about giving back, and that is
Mhm.
what this show is all about for me, and for everyone that has been involved from day one and to this moment. I just want to say thank you. It is
Yes.
it is more than I imagined. I feel like I'm doing what I should be, and I'm forever grateful to all of you. Thank you
And
so
thank you
much.
for letting us be a part of your journey
Yes.
on this
Oh,
aspect.
Yes.
What an honor. I'm the
Oh.
newest one, and it's an honor.
Well, thank
So
you.
thank you.
And thanks for
And they
this.
can send their photos. If you have veterans in your family, send your photos to us because they may end up on it.
Oh yeah, we're going to interweave
Yep.
those within, and just to say thanks. So thank you so much. It's getting cold out there. We are in Michigan. Have